Nike struck absolute gold when they signed Caitlin Clark to an 8-year, $28 million endorsement deal. So why in the world are they ignoring her? They're saying now that we might not get a signature shoe from Caitlin until 2026 or 2027.
After being criticized for failing to promote Caitlin Clark, the CEO of Nike has finally spoken. Yes, exactly. The simplest Nike product ever is the one Caitlin now owns. By releasing this, Nike genuinely thought they had accomplished something, but in reality, they have only strengthened their position by mishandling one of the biggest up-and-coming stars of our time. Additionally, I believe it was only released this morning. Before the show, we saw it. We're glad we did because it matters. Everything that we have discussed, such as the WNBA's problems, what is wrong with inclusion, equity, and diversity? What is the issue with this agenda for race? What's wrong with the plans of this black queen? He has therefore developed a story about Nike and the reasons behind their reluctance to exploit Caitlin Clark. And I always thought, dude, that contract she signed seemed like a pretty good deal. I thought, wow, Caitlin Clark is from Iowa. After her junior year, I began to say things like, hey man, she's the biggest star in college sports. Then following her performance at Iowa in her senior year, I began to believe that she would become the biggest celebrity in athletics. We have never witnessed this before. In America, this woman will surpass the men in popularity, influence, and driving power. This hasn't happened since my argument with Tiger Woods. Given Caitlin's rookie season, it would have made sense for Nike to provide her own shoes. Instead, they released a shirt that included a few recordings. This woman simply received a basic shirt as payment for her hard work. What a farce. It was best expressed by someone on Twitter. Just don't when it comes to Nike and Caitlin Clark promotion. Unfortunately, they are absolutely right. ADIDAS was quick to commend Caitlin after her first season. What a debut season. ADIDAS ambassador and Billie Jean King congratulated Caitlin Clark on winning the 2024 WNBA Rookie of the Year award before Nike had even spoken. Furthermore, do you recall the day of LeBron James' NBA debut? Yes, he wore iconic LeBrons to start his very first NBA game. And you're telling me that after promoting Clark for a year, they couldn't make her a trademark shoe at the start of the year. In conclusion, Nike is promoting outdated products by taking advantage of a generation's marketing opportunity. Why is it taking this particular form? Here is the money based on discussions with knowledgeable persons. It does have something to do with A'ja Wilson, the Nike athlete and WNBA MVP. Even worse, they paid her no attention at all for the entire year. For what purpose? Why give an athlete $4 million a year and then leave her hanging? Here's the problem, though. Insiders claim that it is related to A'ja Wilson, a Nike athlete and WNBP. It is feared that if Nike gives Caitlin Clark priority, A'ja will be offended. After her MVP achievement, A'ja has clearly been all over the advertising boards. She was without a doubt the best player in the league, but Caitlin will sell more of her. Caitlin is more important to people than A'ja. Caitlin's first season raised WNBA viewing to previously unheard of heights, landing her a deep discount and informing her, well, we will hold off on promoting you until we have finished promoting A'ja Wilson. Additionally, she is caught up in all of these racial debates that she has no interest in or want to participate in. Then they're making fun of her fans. All of these Indiana Fever players are also entangled in this. No one cared about the WNBA, therefore they're all having talks they didn't have before. As a result, these guys are under very little pressure to play their game in obscurity. Nobody gave a damn. They're in this bubble now. Every arena they visit is completely packed. This conversation is going on. It's all quite draining. Nike has always been at the vanguard of sports culture, inviting the best athletes in the world and pushing the envelope. From groundbreaking partnerships with icons like Michael Jordan to partnerships with up-and-coming talent, Nike has consistently positioned itself as a company that supports athletes that go above and beyond the game. But it seems like the sports giant is taking its time when it comes to Caitlin Clark, one of the most gifted and important players in women's basketball right now. Her season in the WNBA has come and gone. Nike hasn't taken any action to market her since. No advertisements have been shown to us. We haven't noticed any advertisements. There isn't any Caitlin Clark goods that we have seen. Additionally, we have definitely not seen any of Caitlin Clark's distinctive shoes. It's incredible. Her impact was evident. She also formally earned the coveted First of the Year title at the end of her debut season, which marked a turning point in the growing significance of women's basketball as well as her own achievement. She was and should have been the undisputed Rookie of the Year, and I believe that second half really set the tone for me. Furthermore, there were multiple triple-doubles. Because of this, we would really like the WNBA to make voting non-anonymous, because we should be able to identify you in the NBA voting process if you were the one who cast that vote. While other firms would have jumped at the chance to capitalize on such a dynamic talent, Nike, the corporation that first signed her to an endorsement arrangement, remained suspiciously silent despite her obvious star power and marketability. When Caitlin won Rookie of the Year, Nike's response was slow and unsatisfactory. Fans had mixed feelings when they finally made the decision to publicly applaud her. Their initial offering specifically for Caitlin Clark was not very good. A single jersey bearing a few of the records she broke in her incredible first campaign. Nike's efforts seemed insignificant, even though the top sold out in less than an hour, indicating how devoted and passionate her fan base is. One top is not enough for a player like Caitlin Clark, who is so significant and transformative. Caitlin lived up to the expectations of the fans. The WNBA's most valuable and significant player this season is Caitlin Clark, who ought to have won Rookie of the Year without a doubt. The most perplexing aspect of Caitlin's deal may be Nike's refusal to provide her her own signature sneaker, even though it is a basic need. Athletes' signature footwear is a representation of their impact on culture at large, as well as on their sport. Given her incredible inaugural season and rapidly growing fan base, Caitlin seems to be the perfect candidate for this kind of acclaim. Nike has delayed it in spite of the clear demand. Given that anything bearing Caitlin's name will sell out fast, fans are left wondering why one of the sport's most charismatic athletes doesn't already have her own shoe. The fact that ADIDAS, Nike's primary rival, reacted more quickly to Caitlin's historic Rookie of the Year win is just fueling the fires. ADIDAS took advantage of the situation right away, praising her in public over a week before Nike acknowledged her feat. ADIDAS' prompt recognition highlights Nike's sluggish and fragmented response, even though Caitlin hasn't signed an endorsement deal yet. As if they had forgotten, Nike announced their congrats at the last minute. Beyond Wilson, though, it's about the company's culture, which prioritizes reducing noise over creating it, as Nike once did. The importance of Caitlin Clark cannot be overstated. A sizable crowd regularly attends her games. She is without a doubt one of the most well-known figures in the WNBA, and her jerseys are among the best-selling items. While this, Nike still puts more work into marketing athletes like A'ja Wilson, who isn't as marketable as Caitlin while being worthy of her achievements. Nike spends a lot of money promoting A'ja Wilson, who is the face of their WNBA team. Additionally, there are really few persons, although some, were there who are angry that this young white girl went out there and did what she wanted to do, leading a sister fourth in the league's MVP voting, Rookie of the Year, and one of the top scorers following the Olympics. She performed as though all the attention she was getting was legitimate. This is not meant to minimize the achievements of A'ja Wilson. Although the statistics do not lie, she is an excellent player and a deserving MVP. Everything bearing Caitlin Clark's name, including jerseys and accessories, sells out fast. Caitlin has unmatched star power, as seen by the tremendous demand for her products. Instead of emphasizing the fact that Caitlin is their most bankable celebrity, Nike continues to extensively push A'ja Wilson, ostensibly in an attempt to diversify its marketing and appeal to a wider demographic. According to this 2024 season graphic, the Indiana Fever are essentially dominating every other team. For every 39 games, they are averaging about 16,000. This means that it's considering both the Indiana Fever's home games and their away games. At its lowest, about 6,000 individuals showed up. Additionally, the lowest score for the rest of the league is about 3,000. 2,366 is their highest attendance. Since the Las Vegas Aces have the same number as their best attendance, it appears that this is the game against them. I just saw a clip during the Indiana Fever broadcast after seeing that chart. What they said about Clarkonomics is shown here. According to this small chart, the Fever will have over 600,000 supporters overall this season. At little over 400,000, the Washington Mystics' 1999 performance was the second best. Thus, more than 200,000 more people will attend the Fever's games this year. Caitlin Clark has been criticized for reasons that are hard to understand. Despite her achievements, unmatched attention to the sport, and obvious talent, she encounters resistance at almost every turn. Whether it's because of her dominance on the court, her self-assured play style, or the fact that she has quickly become the face of women's basketball, Caitlin seems to attract an excessive amount of vitriol. It's quite ironic. She has done more to advance the WNBA in her short term than anyone could have imagined, attracting new advertisers, fans, and a degree of zeal that the league desperately needed. Still, there is criticism. Nike seems to be going in a similar direction. Selling goods isn't the only thing involved. Given Caitlin Clark's fame, Nike has a great opportunity to make her the face of their women's basketball division, something they desperately need in a cutthroat industry. She is not just a fantastic athlete. Beyond the game, she is a cultural phenomenon who gives the WNBA new life and enthusiasm. It increased by 20% in 2023, although this was regular season viewership, not draft viewership. Now that it has expanded by 180%, it would take an additional 5 or 6 years to achieve the same level of success as Caitlin Clark. Because of Caitlin Clark, the WNBA has had exponential growth in terms of draft day viewing, which has increased 400% to 40%, ticket sales, which have increased 93% to 16%, and regular game viewership, which has increased 180% to 20%. She completed what would have taken 5 years in 5 weeks. In terms of draft viewership, she completed what would have taken 5 years in 5 days. Nevertheless, Nike seems more focused in appeasing other fan bases and maintaining squad balance than on Caitlin's enormous potential. It's just another example of attempting to please everyone. Because of this, they aren't making the most of a talent who could completely transform their WNBA lineup. There is a huge chance that Caitlin will boost Nike's visibility in women's sports. However, it feels like a missed chance to start a new era because the corporation is unwilling to make her their primary emphasis. The supporters have already begun to respond. Other athletes in the men's and women's leagues have benefited from Nike's complete sponsorship, extensive marketing campaigns, and signature shoes. Why not Caitlin then? She has an established fan base as a player with undeniable star power and is a proven marketing force. Why one of women's basketball's most successful, beloved, entertaining athletes is viewed as an afterthought is the question that keeps coming up. Both Nike and Caitlin Clark have lost out on a significant chance. You know, she has one of the best-selling sports shirts. Michael Rubin's company, Fanatics, claims that Caitlin's Indiana Fever shirt is sold out in every size. She allegedly sold more Dallas Cowboys tees than anyone else. In a time when companies are always searching for the next big thing, Caitlin already has it, but they aren't making the most of it. Nike runs the risk of offending a sizable fan base that is keen to support Caitlin and the products bearing her name. These are clients who are excited, curious, and ready to contribute to her success. The more Nike delays, the more irate the fans get despite the demand. How can you miss such a fantastic chance? How are you unable to capitalize? It is completely nonsensical. She possessed the most insane momentum we have ever witnessed in the history of any athlete. Additionally, despite being the largest athletic clothing brand in the world, Nike failed to take advantage of this. And during the season, we didn't hear a word from them. It really gets me thinking. For example, if I were Caitlin Clark's manager, I would definitely be reconsidering the agreement I signed, even though I have no idea what goes on behind the scenes. How can you pass up such a chance? How can you avoid capitalization? Nike must decide whether to fully support Caitlin Clark or risk losing her influence to a rival. Given how well-liked Caitlin Clark is and the likelihood that her shoes will sell out soon, let's hope they make the right choice and release them earlier than anticipated. Caitlin Clark is playing in her first NBA season and playoffs, and she is emulating Kobe Bryant. Not even a shoe is available for her, and that might not happen until 2026 or 27. During his first season, LeBron James got his own signature shoe.